There, 911, what's the address of emergency?
I called my wife on her responses. She's not breathing. She may have taken some pills.
Okay, what is your address?
Medical examiner says 31-year-old Maria Muñoz died of a combination of drugs in her system, but they couldn't determine how those drugs got there.
Joao Peyote, dressed in teal surgical scrubs, was performing CPR on his 31-year-old wife and stay-at-home mom, Maria Muñoz.
When Maria Muñoz died suddenly, her husband informed authorities that he thought she overdosed on prescription medications. However, it was the young mother's journal's written notes that helped persuade a jury that she did not commit suicide, but was murdered instead. A series of events that followed the call to the police revealed who was behind this. While the medical examiner thought Munoz died from a combined drug overdose, suicide was ruled out after a deeper examination of her journal entries revealed she was moving on from a tragic, heartbreaking scenario. Here she wrote down everything, every day, every moment, and every emotional drop that she often experienced in the last period. What exactly do I want? Number 1. Move on. Munoz wrote the day before she died in her journal. This is how Munoz became a major witness in her own murder inquiry and how her journal entries resulted in a murder conviction. Munoz was a stay-at-home mother with 2 small kids in Laredo, Texas. Laredo is a city in Webb County, Texas, and is also the county seat. Nobody had anything bad to say about this mother. She was a very caring woman and full of love for everyone, especially her children. Everyone knew her as a happy and kind woman, and many will remember her for that. Behind that smile, she hid many problems she faced, which will only be known after this unfortunate event. No one believed that something like this could ever happen to her. Nobody expected this. Her spouse, a nurse's anesthesiast, contacted 911 in the early hours of the morning of September 22, 2020, to report that he had found her dead. They met when she was a nurse and he was a medical student in Puerto Rico. They married in 2011 and relocated to Texas, where she left her job to support her spouse. However, as recounted in her journal, Munoz realized that Peyote had been cheating on her when she discovered an airplane ticket for a European vacation he had planned with his colleague. From this moment, her doubts began to grow and she knew that this marriage did not have a bright future. When she noticed his automobile outside the house of his suspected girlfriend, she vowed to divorce him. From here, the situation escalated. According to phone records eventually revealed in court, Peyote raged at his wife, swore at her, and slammed the windshield, breaking it with his hands. All this had a lot of effect on her mental state because it destroyed her emotionally, but no one could notice it but her. She always kept a smile in front of other people. She hid her feelings and only wrote down her emotional breakdowns in her journal. Munoz secretly filmed a discussion on her smartphone that revealed how Peyote treated her. She could be heard in the cell phone footage asking her husband what he wants out of their marriage. She was trying to keep her family together, but he didn't seem to want to talk about it. He went to his prior house hours before Munoz's death, pleading with her to meet with him so they could have a heart-to-heart conversation about the status of their marriage. Their meeting, however, ended in a disastrous outcome. Munoz was confirmed dead at 3:58 a.m. after several attempts by first responders to resuscitate her. The police immediately began to cast their suspicions on her husband, Joel. The first officer on the scene was Gregorio de la Cruz. He stated that Peyote's actions appeared suspicious and that certain facts didn't make sense, such as his version of the circumstances leading up to his wife's murder. Peyote was sweating heavily through his nurse scrubs and couldn't answer simple questions about when and how he found Munoz, according to the officer, who had body cam footage that was recording their interaction. He had informed authorities that Munoz had overdosed on some pills, but an examination later revealed that there were no pill remains in her stomach. When De La Cruz arrived, he asked for the medicines Peyote stated Munoz had taken and was surprised when he saw him pull a jar from the medical cabinet that was in another room. He added that when someone overdoses on pills, the pills are normally located beside the individual, not in a medical cabinet in another room. Peyote is subsequently caught on video picking up the pill container off the floor and placing it into his pocket. He was taken to the police station where the odd conduct persisted in another taped interview. Pillow was seen on camera crying and yelling. He was witnessed punching walls and shifting furniture while alone. These were all signs of nervousness and stress, and things were becoming clearer to the investigators. Pillow admitted to Sergeant Luis Mata during the interview that he was divorced from his wife and was presently living with his girlfriend. He'd only been there because they were discussing the status of their marriage. Pillow informed Mata that his wife took some pills after they chatted, and that the prescription discovered in the house was given to him, not Munoz. Investigators also discovered a syringe wrapper on the floor, a needle catheter on the steps, and syringes and IV equipment in a medical bag inside the house. The medical examiner determined that Maria Muñoz died as a result of a drug cocktail in her system, but could not identify how they got there. It was also shown that there was no clonazepam residue in Munoz's stomach, despite Pillow's claims. Another perplexing part of the case was the red pinprick mark on Munoz's right elbow crease. However, Pillow was unable to explain the red mark, which prompted officials to request a toxicological exam, along with phone calls from anxious friends and relatives. When Dr. John Huntsinger, an anesthesiologist and Pillow's former boss, found out about the autopsy results, he got suspicious and demanded a toxicology exam. The investigation identified 7 additional medicines in her system, the majority of which are often used during surgery, and one of which can only be supplied by IV. Morphine, Demerol, Versed, Profilol, ketamine, lidocaine, and Narcan were among them. After these discoveries, everything pointed to only one person, and it was clear to everyone what had actually happened here. Prosecutors think Pillow placed some of the medicines in Munoz's drink to sedate her, then injected the Profilol through her arm and waited to call 911 so first responders couldn't resuscitate her. "It was the highest level I've seen," Dr. Huntsinger remarked. "I believe this was a Profilol-induced death." Munoz's journal entries were utilized by an all-female prosecution group known as Maria's Team to make a solid case against Pillow and show the jury what type of wife and mother she was. They regarded Munoz as a wonderful mother who was caring and talented. They claimed to have felt the energy she had through the pages of her journals. The prosecutors said that the journals helped them comprehend what she was going through and pushed them to fight for justice in her case. Pillow was found guilty by a jury of killing his wife. He's now serving life in prison for this murder. Our condolences go out to the family and everyone who knew this caring woman. Unfortunately, no one knew her true condition until this happened, and her journal was read by many people. There, she wrote down how emotionally shaken she was by all the events and how many times she was on the edge of everything due to such situations. After this knowledge, the whole community was left in shock and they started to work more intensively with the police force in discovering such cases and in prevention itself so that this would never happen again. If you like this video and want more content like this, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment on what you think about this case and what you'd like us to do next for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.